Okay, welcome back, everybody, to today's question period episode. We have Justina Trudeau, who is scheduled to appear in the House and get absolutely obliterated. There's been a lot of tensions, rising tensions over the past couple of weeks, and this will be Trudeau's first appearance back in the House in 2.5 weeks since they had a 2-week break. So welcome back. I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. Before we get into it, though, I do want to encourage everyone to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. More than 70% of the viewers are actually not subscribed, and we are a carbon tax away, just a sliver away from actually getting to 100,000 subscribers, and that will put us in line for another play button, which would be absolutely incredible. So if you haven't yet, I'd highly recommend that you subscribe. And while you're there, after you subscribe, there's a little bell icon, tiny little bell icon that shows up. And if you hit that bell icon, you might actually have a chance, it's like a lottery, of being notified of not only video uploads, but live stream uploads. I see repeatedly in the comments section, oh, first time catching the live stream. So glad, because I've been following this channel for a couple of years. So if you don't want to miss out on the lives, unless you're searching for it, or lucky enough to catch it in the algorithm, turn that bell icon does help. And without further ado, I'll shut up and get out of the way. And let's watch some QP. They're doing statements by members right now. They are starting right now. I can hear it in my ear. I got it pulled up on my monitor. So you got about 10-15 minutes before question period begins. So get yourself a coffee, get yourself a beer, whatever it is going to cost more than it should, because hey, the carbon tax is just about to double, and stores are already paying the price for that. And as the consumers, so are we. So I got my coffee right here. Here we go, folks.
It was incredible to see them perform. They received a medal at the Canadian Championships. This Quebec figure skating pair that competed in the novice category won out over all the other competitors of other Canadian provinces. It shows not only their talent, but also our capacity to shine. I would like to congratulate both of you. You have all our admiration. Congratulations, we are very proud of you.
Mr. Speaker, on March 8th, I had the immense pleasure of meeting and celebrating women community leaders from my riding of St. Leonard St. Michel. The women spoke of their personal stories, challenges, and triumphs. They are successful women not only in their respective lines of business, occupations, or professions, but because each day, Mr. Speaker, they inspire and serve as role models for other women. Je suis particulièrement reconnaissante des efforts.
I would like to recognize.
Big stretch.
Government's efforts in encouraging women and supporting their participation in the workforce. For example, with the very first strategy for women in entrepreneurship and several other measures, which are enabling women to enter the workforce in record numbers.
Let's see if we can get 500 likes on the stream before QP begins. That would be absolutely incredible. Might be able to get a couple thousand viewers in here.
And succeed. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Tomorrow will be International Francophonie Day, and this year the theme is Creating, Innovating in French. As President of the Committee for Parliamentary Affairs, I would like to offer an invitation. There are more than 321 million French speakers in the world, and we need to work daily to help the French language thrive. In Canada, in Quebec, the decline of the language is a sad reality. We must be vigilant and turn things around. My party, the Conservative Party of Canada, recognizes the decline of French. We will continue to take concrete action to stop that decline throughout Canada. Tomorrow, Francophones and Francophiles, I would ask you to make a concrete gesture wherever you may be to promote our language French. Let's be proactive ambassadors and let's celebrate our beautiful language every day. Let's create, innovate, and be proud of our language, French.
Member from Don Valley West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The community of Don Valley West is deeply saddened by the loss of Ilias Moulabai, a dear friend, a valued colleague, and a trusted advisor. Ilias's unwavering commitment to advance community-based initiatives is well recognized. He was instrumental in assisting the Islamic Society of Toronto in establishing a new religious centre and community space that will provide a safe and inclusive environment for Muslims in our community. I had the pleasure to collaborate closely with Ilias, particularly on our joint advocacy for youth initiatives. Our work together on the Canada Summer Jobs Program at Masjid Dar es Salaam has helped a generation of young people acquire valuable skills, earn fair wages, and prepare for post-secondary education. Brother Ilias was committed to serving others. That commitment was rooted in his belief in humanity and in his faith. I extend my condolences to his son Arshad and his family. He will be missed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member from Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, as the evening approaches, marking the arrival of Nowruz at precisely 11:06:26 p.m. tonight, we gather to celebrate the tradition steeped in renewal of the earth and rejuvenation of our spirits. This ancient festival, rich in symbolism and joy, invites us to embrace the new year with hope and optimism. In the spirit of this celebration, let us reflect upon the wisdom of the Persian poet Khayyam, whose words resonates with the essence of Nowruz. بر چهره گل نسیم نوروز خوش است در صحن چمن روی دلافروز خوش است ای دل که گذشت هرچه گویی خوش نیست خوش باش و زده مگو که امروز خوش است.
I'm going to be very honest.
Captures the essence of
I have no idea what he just said.
Urging us to leave the past behind and embrace the present's fresh promise. As we greet the new year, these words inspire us to meet the future with open hearts, celebrating Nowruz as a symbol of renewal, unity, and shared values. This ancient tradition beacons us towards a brighter, harmonious path in the future.
The honourable member from York Simcoe.
Mr. Speaker, it's ridiculous. The rural communities of York Simcoe are not eligible to receive the rural top-up on the carbon tax because they are classified as Toronto by this government. Wow. And now not a single community in Northern York region received any housing funding from the Liberals' overhyped Housing Accelerator Fund. But Toronto has received $500 million. A clear message has been sent to the residents of Georgina, East Gwillimbury, Aurora, Uxbridge, Bradford, and the Chippewas of Georgina Island. According to the Liberals, you are not Toronto enough for housing funding, but to Toronto to get the rural top-up. These Liberals are out of touch. They are hiking up the carbon tax by 23%, though it does nothing for the environment. Their housing fund won't build a single home, including in fast-growing places like York Simcoe. Enough is enough. Conservatives will spike the hike, axe the tax, and bring homes Canadians can afford.
The honourable member from Kings Hants.
Speaker, I rise today to proudly celebrate our Canadian cattle industry, our ranchers, our beef producers across the country who help raise quality product for our table and tables around the world. This week, representatives are in Ottawa for the annual CCA reception. And I think about champions at home in Kings Hants, folks like Dean and Catherine Manning, the Olton family, and Ryan Knowles with the Hants County Meat Company. I appreciate all the work that they do in our communities and the work that they do locally to provide great product. However, Mr. Speaker, as a young parliamentarian, I also want to recognize the work of the Canadian Cattle Youth Council, whose members I had the chance to meet with yesterday. Kimberly Lansdale, Charlene Youngblood, Scott Gerbrandt, and Patrick Sullivan. I'd like to thank them for the work that they do to help support youth farmers across the country. And to all our representatives who are here in Ottawa today, let us as parliamentarians get out and celebrate all that is good for the Canadian cattle industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member from Calgary, Midnapore.
Canadians continue to ask questions on ArriveCan, and Conservatives continue to push for answers. Last week, we continue to prosecute GC Strategies, an IT firm of two people that performed no actual work, yet were paid a third of $60 million in contracts for the ArriveCan app. After hiding from accountability to the point of being threatened with arrest, the two individuals finally appeared at committee. Although still evasive, MPs were able to learn that the two partners pocketed $2.5 million million. And for what? One partner, Christian Firth, said he averaged 2 to 4 hours per day at a rate of $2,600 per hour. His partner said he had no clue what went on at any point of the ArriveCan process and only processed the security clearances for their subcontractors, a job he did wrong. Listen up, Liberal government. Not only must you explain why you wasted millions of dollars, but Canadians want their money back. So start explaining and pay up.
To the point.
The honourable member for
With a slight bit of aggression.
Mr. Speaker, after 8 years of this Liberal government, there are protests, farmers' protests throughout Quebec because of the carbon tax, which is causing farmers' revenues to go down. But the Bloc Québécois is ignoring and even punishing them. The Bloc Québécois wants to radically increase Liberal taxes on gas and food, and they want to do that starting on April 1st. You'd think that is an April Fool's joke, but unfortunately, no. It's all true. And in fact, last week, the Union des producteurs agricoles confirmed to me that this will have a devastating impact on all Canadians, especially farmers in my region. What's the point of the Bloc Québécois? It's only
a little sport
punishing
for the channel. I
Canadians and making
appreciate
life
the super
even
chat. Thank you
harder
very
for
much.
farmers. All Canadians would like the government and the Bloc Québécois to cancel that extremely harmful tax.
The honourable member from Willowdale.
Today marks the spring equinox, otherwise called Nowruz, which marks the new year for Iranians, Afghans, Ismailis, Baha'is, Zoroastrians, and over 300 million individuals across the world. Many around the world are excited to welcome spring and the promise of a new year. I'm certain every member of this House joins me in wishing all those celebrating Nowruz across Canada a Happy New Year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Happy Nowruz.
Wonderful job. Wonderful job.
So proud.
Mr. Speaker, a few weeks ago, Canadian athletes gathered in Calgary for the Special Olympic Winter Games, and competitors from Algoma, Manitoulin, and Kapuskasing sure made us proud. From Manitoulin Island, skip Tyler
Wait, isn't that Madam Speaker?
Dylan Danville, Dane Tipper, Austin Recollet, and William Leclerc brought home the gold for curling, and Matthew Bedard won 3 bronze medals in snowshoeing. Elliott Lake's Adam Cormier took home a silver in team and a bronze in singles in 5-pin bowling. Chaque année, les entraîneurs...
Every year, coaches, volunteers, and employees make the Special Olympics something to be proud of. It's important that we acknowledge all that they do to support and encourage our athletes.
Mr. Speaker, the oath of the Special Olympics is let me win.
Assistant Deputy Speaker.
Let me be brave in the attempt.
Yeah.
Our Special Olympians who
Like Kim
participated
Campbell.
at this year's Winter Games continue to
It ain't a real job.
exemplify this oath. Congratulations, Tyler, Dylan, Dane, Austin, William, Matthew, and Adam. You have shown strength, determination, and courage during these challenging competitions. We are all so very proud of your accomplishments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Rimouski, Nejet, Témiscouata-les-Basques. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to speak about the 80th
I'm going to slow it down for a second, chat, because I want everyone to pay attention. I'm going to lower the voice. I swear to God, Greg Fergus watches this channel, because when he first became the new speaker, he would say, questions orales, oral questions, honorable leader of the opposition. And then I started to criticize that on this stream, on this channel. I'd say, bro, what are you doing? It's oral questions, questions orales. Every House Speaker has always done it that way. Then he changed it very shortly after I started saying that. And then just the other day, last week, he was confronted in the streets by a Canadian citizen who asked him questions. And in that video on Mistersunshinebaby, the YouTube channel, I said, hey, that's awesome that he watches this channel and he since reverted how he went about introducing question period. Because he started in French, then English, and then he did it the right way. And now the mofo has switched things around again. So just wait. Wait till he announces question period and he's going to say questions orales, oral questions, when it's supposed to be the other way. This guy is trolling me.
cruel joke on Canadians by increasing his carbon tax once again.
I also probably shouldn't be that heated about it.
% on everything. 70% of Canadians oppose
I just like it a certain way.
All Atlantic
it's been done a certain way for so long.
The Liberal Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador have joined common sense Conservatives in demanding that this government axe the tax.
All these people have a high net worth. It is sad. All sides are in trouble if they just want to win to make money. They competed for the 10-10 I appreciate it. That is true. These politicians all have insane net worths.
Once commented, and I quote, "No one would believe that you pay money to the government and they will give you more back. This simply is not true." Today, in the Nova Scotia legislature, all political parties voted unanimously, calling on all Nova Scotia MPs to scrap the carbon tax hike. Mr. Speaker, axe the tax.
The honourable member from Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, exciting news. Tax season is here. And when Canadians file their taxes, they will receive the Canada carbon rebate. In the provinces where it applies, like my home province of Ontario, the Canada carbon rebate will put even more money back into the pockets of most Canadians than they pay into the carbon pricing system. Affordability is top of mind in everything our federal government does. And with the Canada carbon rebate, we are directly putting money into the bank accounts of Canadian families. Families are counting on these checks, especially low and middle income Canadians who need it the most. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, Conservative MPs want to cut these rebates that low and middle income Canadians rely on, but we won't let them. Canadian families can count on that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
It's like going to somebody with a... Oral questions! Questions orales! We're going to say it my way till the day we die. Here we go, folks.
The Conservatives have an excellent tax to axe a tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. The Prime Minister is simply not worth the cost after 8 years.
Carbon tax are not worth the cost after 8 long years. The Parliamentary Budget Officer confirms that in every single province, Canadians pay far more in taxes than they get back in rebates, a tax that will go up 23%. Today, common sense Conservatives are calling for the Prime Minister to grant his caucus a free vote on our motion to spike the hike.
Yeah. It's like going to somebody with a $20 bill wanting change. They give you a 10 and a 5 back saying you're richer than you think.
8 out of 10 families throughout the country where we've put a federal price on pollution receive more money from it than they pay into it. What the Leader of the Opposition is proposing is to remove not only checks that are delivered for families that help with groceries, with rent, with the impact of climate change, but they are also doing nothing to fight climate change, to build a stronger future. We are here to help Canadians with checks. We are here to fight against climate change. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Understand that after 8 years, this NDP Liberal Prime Minister is not worth the cost. And they're right. According to the Parliamentary Budget Officer, this Prime Minister's carbon tax will cost the average Nova Scotia family $1,500. That's why the Nova Scotia legislature voted unanimously, Liberals, Conservatives and NDP, to call on federal MPs representing the province to vote with the common sense Conservatives to spike the hike. Will he allow a free vote so Nova Scotians can vote for their constituents rather than the party boss?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
A family of 4 in Nova Scotia gets about $824 back in the year.
After spending about $1,500 to $2,000.
Canadian carbon rebate delivers more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians right across the country. The Leader of the Opposition wants to take away those Canada carbon rebate checks from Canadian families, where 8 out of 10 families do better, even with the price on pollution. It's a way of fighting climate change, of building a safer, more prosperous future, and putting more money back in the pockets of Canadians, something he wants to take away.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Prime Minister has finally done something helpful when it comes to math. He says that his rebate for Nova Scotians is $850. Well, the parliamentary budget officer confirmed that the cost is $1,500.
Just like I said.
Nova Scotia family. So he wants to take away $1,500 from the average Nova Scotia family in carbon taxes and give back only $850. Everybody knows that the carbon tax is just like him, not worth the cost. Will he allow a free vote?
There you go. Hey, who wore it better? Who wore the black suit, black tie better? Pierre or Trudeau?
Once again, the leader of the opposition wants to take away the Canada carbon rebate checks that land in Nova Scotians' mailboxes, but in the pockets of families right across the country where the price on pollution is in place, because 8 out of 10 of them do better with the price on pollution and the Canada carbon rebate than they would. He wants to take away those checks from Canadians, and he wants to do far less to fight against the climate change impacts that Canadians are feeling from coast to coast to coast. No plan for the future, no money for Canadians.
L'honorable chef de l'opposition.
Speaker, the tax revolt has spread to Ontario, where now the Liberal leader of the provincial party has flip-flopped and says that she too is against the Prime Minister's carbon tax. Maybe that's because she read the Parliamentary Budget Officer report showing Ontarians will pay $1,674. That's more than $600 more than the rebate in that province. So, will the Prime Minister allow his Ontario MPs to have a free vote on our common sense Conservative motion to spike the hike?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, families in Ontario are facing higher prices for groceries, higher costs for rent, and we are delivering a Canada carbon rebate that leaves them better off. 8 out of 10 Canadian families
You spend more than you get back.
more money in their pockets with the Canada carbon rebate than the price on pollution costs them. At the same time, the price on pollution is bringing down carbon emissions, preparing a cleaner economy of the future, and putting more money back in Canadians' pockets. The Conservatives want to take away the Canada carbon rebate checks. We're going to continue to support families on affordability and fighting climate change.
Does Trudeau's suit come in a men's size, or is he stuck wearing his ex-wife's?
Parliamentary Budget Officer's numbers, he says $1,674 is the cost of the average Ontario family, and the rebate is only $1,047. So Ontarians are paying more than they get back, just like British Columbians, where the NDP government is administering the federally mandated carbon tax. And according to the Vancouver Sun today, the budget presented by the NDP in that province says the carbon tax will raise $9 billion over 3 years and only pay back $3 billion. Mr. Speaker, that's a nearly $6 billion net carbon tax cost. Will he allow BC MPs?
What are you going to do with that money, dude?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, for Canadians watching politics and watching this question period, for reporters up in the gallery, or anyone who wants to see
For everybody watching on House of
an
Canada.
example of the fact that the leader of the official opposition doesn't care about facts, doesn't care about evidence, doesn't care about how the Federation works. He just wants to make clever arguments to score partisan points.
He's rallying up the Conservatives.
Has been there since 2008 and will continue to be administered by British Columbia, not the federal government.
Well done.
All right, by using Trudeau's logic, anybody who's looking for change, send me a $20 on PayPal. I'll send you $15 back. Don't worry, it's a good deal. The Liberals say it is. Holy smokes.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the government
Oh, rejected right away.
He doesn't get to do that. Order.
Ain't nobody listening to your order. You don't have control of the place, buddy.
Je vais inviter le...
I would like to invite the leader of the Bloc Québécois to restart his sentence, his question. The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the government in Canada are...
Hey, folks, if you're watching this and you haven't hit that like button, I'd highly recommend you smash the like button.
The federal government receives more in tax than what its jurisdictions are asking for, and provinces and Quebec are receiving less than their just part. Will the government and the...
We're French, we want more money.
...recognise that Quebec's extreme deficit is fabricated by the federal government of Canada? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, in this federation, that is Canada, the federal government is here to work with provincial governments to deliver what Canadians need from coast to coast to coast. We have made record investments in healthcare, in dental care, in transfers to provinces to deliver the services that they need. I understand that the leader of the Bloc Québécois wants to make this a debate on Quebec's sovereignty, but the reality of the matter is that we are working very well together, and we will continue to make sure that all Canadians from coast to coast to coast prosper. The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. We won't make it a debate, but he owes $6 billion to Quebec when it comes to healthcare. $1 billion for welcoming refugees. That's $7 billion total on an $11 billion deficit.
Don't talk to him about numbers. His brain is going to hurt.
Throttling and strangling Quebec. Is he using that money to try and force Quebec to follow the federal government? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, you will understand that when I talk to Quebec, when I work with Quebecers, I'm working with them. I'm not working with the Bloc Québécois. I'm working with the Prime Minister of Quebec, the Premier of Quebec, rather. We had an excellent discussion on healthcare, on immigration, on economic growth. We won't always agree on everything, of course, but we do agree on the need to work together in a constructive way without looking for petty squabbles, which is what the Bloc Québécois seeks to do every single day.
The honourable member from Burnaby South.
After decades of liberal and conservative
he's wearing black suit, black tie as well.
Indigenous communities continue to live in overcrowded homes that are in desperate need of repair. The Liberals promised to make a major step forward to improving this by 2030, but today's Auditor General report makes it clear that the Liberals will break yet another promise to Indigenous people. So will the Liberal government stop spending millions of dollars on private consultants and make this serious issue a priority in the upcoming budget?
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we thank the Auditor General for her report and are, of course, carefully reviewing all of her recommendations to pursue a path forward that effectively addresses those concerns. In regards to Indigenous cooperation and partnerships, whether it's on housing or policing, consultation is at the heart of everything we do. We're committed to working in partnership with First Nations to advance these priorities.
Thanks for your donation.
The Honourable...
Someone say thanks for your donation.
My apologies. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
No!
Indigenous communities are living in overcrowded housing units that are in
He told Pierre to stand up, but he actually meant Jagmeet.
The Auditor General's
I think he did that on purpose.
Released today shows that 80% of housing needs are not being met. The Prime Minister would never allow this kind of thing to happen in Toronto. So why does he have lower standards for Indigenous communities? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, that's rightly false. What has just been proffered by the leader of the NDP. We have invested historic amounts to work with Indigenous communities on housing, on services and healthcare, on assistance to help economic prosperity. There is still a lot of work to do, we recognise it, but the progress that we have done on reconciliation and our partnerships with Indigenous peoples will continue and we would like to thank the Auditor General for her recommendations. We'll continue to work hand in hand with Indigenous communities to deliver.
That I have, Chef.
Smash the like button if you guys haven't, folks.
April Fool's Day carbon tax hike of 23% will hit Nova Scotians especially hard. The Prime Minister's tax will cost $1,500 for the average Nova Scotia family, far more than they get back in rebates. That's why Nova Scotia's Assembly passed a unanimous motion with all three parties supporting it, calling for federal MPs from that province to vote with Conservatives to spike the hike. One of those MPs is from King's Hants, the chair of the Agriculture Committee, which has been studying the carbon tax pain for farmers. So the question is for the chair of the Agriculture Committee, will he vote with us to spike the hike?
Yeah. Spike the hike. I like it. Oh, Trudeau's not going to get up and fight his own battles, or what? I don't know, man. I hate how they mute the mic. I freaking hate it. This is the only speaker who's done it. Pierre's obviously pissed. I think my camera, well, he's just right above my head. You can see him. He's pointing and yelling.
Order. Order. So, colleagues, of course, questions can be asked of the government regarding administrative issues of the government, and of course to committee chairs. It's important for Canadians to understand, though, that when questions are asked of committee chairs, it has to be regarding stuff that has committee business. That's before the committee.
Oh my God! Drop an L in the chat for Greg Fergus, man. This guy's so corrupt.
We realize that isn't the issue that is here before. So I see that the Honourable Minister for Housing is rising on his feet.
Oh my goodness.
Mr. Speaker, and look, what the honourable member is actually suggesting is false. We have real-world data to demonstrate in provinces where the system actually applies, families receive hundreds of dollars more each year than they pay in fuel charges. The Conservatives pretend to care about affordability, yet they oppose measures to put more money in the pockets of families. They pretend to care about affordability, but they oppose measures that protect seniors' pensions. They pretend to care about affordability, but they vote against measures to remove the interest on Canada's student loans. Mr. Speaker, we will do everything we can to make life more affordable, including putting more money in the pockets of families while we fight climate change at the same time.
Come on, dude.
Leader of the opposition.
Well, that parliamentary censorship proves everything you need to know about this and everything else in this government. I asked a question of the member for King's Hants, the chair of the Agriculture Committee, who's now studying the painful impacts of the carbon tax, and the front bench here shut him down, told him to sit down and shut up because for the PMO who would stand and speak in his stead. Mr. Speaker, the question is for the member for King's Hants, the chair of the Agriculture Committee. His committee studying how the carbon tax hurts farmers. Will he vote to spike the hike?
Oh my God, I'm sorry, folks. I had a lot of coffee. This is very intense. They're going to tell him again to sit down and shut up.
Mr. Speaker, if the honourable member knows about the member for King's Hants, I can reassure him he is a champion for his community. He launched a petition recently to stand up to the Conservative government in Nova Scotia for changes to the agricultural sector in his community. Every time the Conservatives ask a question about the environment, it's to find out ways that they can do less. The member for Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke has suggested flooding in the Ottawa River was a result of regulations that were not in place. The member from Caribou, Prince George, has suggested climate change is not a result of industrial pollution, but of more body heat from a growing population. The member from Red Deer Lacombe visited school kids to say carbon dioxide was plant food. Mr. Speaker, this...
Oh my gosh! Good job. We're so proud of you. All the seals are clapping.
The Honourable Leader of the
Trudeau left. Trudeau's gone. Trudeau left.
Right. It is a joke. An April Fool's joke. And the joke is on Canadian taxpayers, especially Nova Scotians, who will have to pay $1,500 in higher carbon taxes after that hike goes ahead. He says that the member for King's Hants is a champion who can't even speak. By his own MPs. Will the member...
Folks, Trudeau's gone. Trudeau left. Just like the title of the live stream says! Trudeau leaves! He left! This is corrupt. They mute the mic. They leave when they want. The people that are asked questions don't even answer them.
On the clock.
Will the censored champion break his silence and tell us, will he vote for his constituents to spike the hike, or will he rip them off on April Fool's Day?
There you go. What a sick, sadistic joke, huh? April Fool's Day. You owe more money.
Information to trick Canadians into voting for them. The reality proven, not by projections, but by real-world data, is that people who live in my province receive more money every year from the rebates that they receive than the fuel charge that they pay. Everything the Conservatives do.
Order.
Order.
The Honourable Minister has 15 seconds left on the clock.
Mr. Speaker, at every instance the Conservatives have an opportunity to speak in House, they do one of two things. Advocate to do less on the environment or to take money from families in my community. I will support neither. We will do whatever we can to put more money in the pockets of families and do the right thing for future generations.
Oh my gosh. Folks, smash the like button if you haven't yet. Let's try and get more viewers in. We got 4,400. See if we can bump it up to 5,000 live viewers.
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the question was for the silent member from King's Hants. He is asked to explain how he's voting for a carbon tax of $1,500 per family that only pays back $963 in rebates. I asked him specifically to stand and answer, but he's been shut down and shut up by his masters in the PMO. So once again, the Agriculture Committee and member for King's Hants stands in today and tell us whether he will vote to spike the hike or raise the tax.
Let him cook. The man who holds Trudeau's pocket when he walks just stood up.
All members to please listen to their House Leader and the House Leader teams. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the Leader of the Opposition knows full well the rules of this place and knows full well that members on this side are proud and pleased to defend the initiatives and the affordability measures.
I'm going to ask the Honourable Member from Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan, to wait his turn to ask a question before taking the floor. The Honourable Government House Leader has 23 seconds left on the clock.
The Leader knows the rules of this place and knows that on this side of the House, we're pleased and proud to speak to the affordability measures and the things that we're putting in place to make life more affordable for Canadians. But while we're on this theme, I have a question for the member of the Defence Committee.
You don't ask questions, you answer them.
Why did he sell out the people of Ukraine in voting against the free trade arrangement?
Slava Ukraine, Wicked Witch of the North there stood up. Let's go, Pierre. Let's go, Pierre. He just cracked his knuckles. Order. Hey, is it nerdy that I got goosebumps?
The Honourable Government House Leader to please...
Because if it is, I don't have goosebumps. If it's not nerdy, I got goosebumps.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the people of King's Hants, Nova Scotia, are learning they don't have a voice in Parliament because he has been silenced. The Prime Minister is terrified that he might stand up and get off script. He knows that the unanimous will of the Nova Scotia legislature, Liberals, Conservatives, and New Democrats, was passed in a motion calling for all of that province's MPs to vote against the hike. So will the member for King's Hants, who's the chair of the Agriculture Committee, stand up for farmers in his riding and vote with us to spike the hike? Yes or no?
Oh my God. Oh, Freeland, stand it up!
Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the member for King's Hants stands up for farmers.
Sorry.
Stands up for his constituents, stands up for the people of Nova Scotia, and stands up for the people of Canada every single day. On this side of the House, we are incredibly proud to have him as our colleague.
Oh my God. Drop an L in chat for Freeland.
Is the people of King's Hands do not need cuts, and that is
Drop an L in chat. Let's go. Let's see if we can get that train running.
for any single Canadian.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the member for King's Hands is in the Witness Protection Program. He can't possibly stand up when his whip waves for him to sit down, which is exactly what happened a moment ago when I asked him a legitimate question as chair of the Agriculture Committee, a committee that's studying the devastating impact of the carbon tax on farmers in his riding and across the country. So for a sixth time, will he come out of the Witness Protection Program and announce whether he will vote for our motion to spike the hike?
Yeah. We have never seen this! We have never seen this in the House.
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives love to talk Canada down. They traffic in fear and falsehood. But on this side of the House,
every single Canadian has to see this.
and we believe in Canadians. And that's why I am so glad to share some good news with the members of this House. And that is the inflation number for February, which came out this morning, 2.8% below expectations.
They have a hostage in Parliament right now.
Second month in a row. In January it was 2.9.
They're not letting them talk.
Our plan is working, Mr. Speaker.
They have a hostage. This is insanity.
The Honourable Member from Montcalm. In 12 days,
Bloc don't care, right?
$1 billion from healthcare.
Give us more money.
Accept conditions that are its own jurisdiction. 12 days. When we are talking about sums that Quebec and Ottawa have been agreeing on for over a year. If the federal government's priority were patience, this money would have been transferred a long time ago. But no. In 12 days, it's either the acts or accepted conditions. The federal government is holding sick people hostage with the money they pay in taxes. Why not simply give priority to patients by transferring the money right now without conditions? The Honourable Minister for Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a bit odd. It's always the Bloc Québécois who are looking for squabbles. But when I talk to Minister Dubé and the Quebec government...
He went the opposite, eh? Pierre, Trudeau... and Jagmeet are wearing black suit, black tie. And Mark Holland's like, I look fabulous today. White suit with a pink tie.
The health of all Quebecers.
You go, girl.
And that is the reason for which there will be an agreement with the province of Quebec before the end of the month, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Jonquière. We could talk about tense intergovernment relations if only there were relations. Instead, the federal government has entered the phase of just saying no. No to unconditional increases in health transfers. No to the right to opt out of dental and medical insurance. No to support the reception of asylum seekers. Finally, the only thing the federal government won't say no to is our tax dollars. But Quebecers are entitled to have their say on what the federal government does with their money. Why is it so difficult to simply respect Quebec's wishes and say yes for once?
Am I the only one that just doesn't care when the Bloc speaks?
The Honourable Minister for Transport. Mr. Speaker, the Bloc Québécois has become the paragon of no. No to collaboration. No to sharing information. No to dialogue. No to reaching results, no to working for Quebecers. They want things to fail, but that is not the case. We are working well with Quebec. The Minister for Health is doing extraordinary work. Great meetings with his Quebec counterpart. They're not there at the negotiating table. They don't know what's going on. All they want are squabbles. And when it doesn't work, they try again. But that's not the case because we are working together for all Quebecers. The Honourable Member for Jonquière. We might not be in the government, but we've just enumerated a number of budgetary measures. Because it's also no to full immigration powers for Quebec, no to Bill 21 on the secular nature of the state, no to advance requests for medical assistance in dying. It's almost on principle, even when it costs nothing. The federal government simply says no to Quebec. What a contrast. In this week, when we are paying tribute to Brian Mulroney, who advocated a federalism of honour and enthusiasm for Quebecers, does the government realise that saying no to everything and saying no all the time is exactly the opposite of the spirit? The Honourable Minister for Health. Mr. Speaker,
it's so obnoxious to have a white suit with a pink tie.
Seeking out problems, seeking out squabbles, but for us,
looks like it's a suit for a person with a vagina.
With Quebec.
You can't say woman or female in Canada anymore, by the way.
That information is
present. You have to say person with a vagina.
In every province and every territory. And I'm eminently proud that we have an agreement with every province and territory so that we can increase the quality of healthcare throughout Canada. That is our objective. We will work in a spirit of cooperation and collaboration. We're not just going to play partisan politics like they want us to.
The Honourable Member from Lethbridge.
Last year in my riding, Colk Farms, a local producer, was forced to pay $62,000 just in carbon tax on his natural gas alone. That's $62,000. And what this Liberal NDP government doesn't understand, because it is so out of touch, is that when Canadians go to the grocery store, they pick up that bill when they go to buy groceries for their families. Canadians are already struggling, and now on April 1st, they're going to face another increase of 23%. Will the Prime Minister spike the hike and axe the tax?
The Honourable Minister.
And, you know, I'd like to say to the member opposite, I want a reminder of the rule top-up coming to the carbon rebate. So a family of four in Alberta is going to see $2,160. A family in my riding is going to see $1,430 when they live in a rural area. My friends, we know what it's like. That's why we're there to help people with the carbon rebate. That's why we're there to help with the childcare benefit. That's why we're there to help with housing. We're there to help Canadians, Mr. Speaker, in rural areas as well.
Before I get to the Honourable Member from Lethbridge, I'm going to ask all members, please, to only take the floor when they are recognized by the Speaker to do so. The Honourable Member from Lethbridge.
I think what's clear is that the Liberals have a dysfunctional relationship with the truth. Yeah. You see,
nope, just dysfunctional.
Then they actually get back.
That's a good way around parliamentary
family. They pay $2,943. Meanwhile, they get back $2,032, which means ultimately they are $1,000 in the hole. That is how much they are having to remit to this government. That is how much this government is pickpocketing from them. Why is this government doing that to Canadians when they are already struggling to pay their bills, make ends meet, provide for their family?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure what's happening on the Conservative side of this House. Maybe it's that they've joined the Ag Chair in the Witness Protection Program when it comes to defending the interests of Albertans and their pensions. Where's the MP for Edmonton Mill Woods? Where's the...
Conservatives are laughing at that. Hey folks, we're almost at 1,000 likes on the stream. If you haven't yet, smash the like button. S'il vous plaît.
Order. Colleagues. The Honourable Member from South Shore St. Margaret's, I'm going to ask him and ask all members, please, to allow members to speak for two reasons. One, so that the Speaker can hear the question or hear the response. And secondly, is because there are members who do not speak the other official language. And if they're trying to listen in their earphones, they can't hear. So please, I'll ask all members to restrain themselves. The Honourable Minister has 20 seconds left on the clock.
Mr. Speaker, where are the Conservative MPs in this House when it comes to defending Albertans and making sure they have a dignified retirement? They are silent on CPP. They are silent on defending Albertans. They have been muzzled by their leader, and they are not standing up for Albertans.
They have been muzzled by their leader.
Just attempt to pull
That's funny.
out of the CPP. The Conservatives of nowhere. We're here for...
Holy shit. That's pretty funny.
Colleagues,
after they just went through that
to me on several occasions,
hostage situation with the Liberal MP from the East Coast who to be the bad guy, they really have the audacity to say that the Conservatives are muzzling everybody.
By respecting those who have the floor. I'm certain everybody would like to hear the question from the member from Tobic-Matquac.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll tell you where Albertan MPs are. They're standing up for their constituents and voting non-confidence in this government that needs to be replaced. Mr. Speaker, after 8 years of this Liberal NDP government, upwards of 50 active military families are using the food bank, and I just visited one in Oromocto, New Brunswick. 50 families who are serving at Base Gagetown, Canada's largest military base. This is an absolute disgrace and completely unacceptable. Now they're adding insult to injury by hiking their punitive, ineffective, and useless carbon tax. When will they finally listen to Canadians and show some respect to our nation's finest and
Oh, dude, that was loud. They even cut the mic and it came through. Holy crap.
The Honourable Minister for Rural Economic Development.
Mr. Speaker, I really find it quite rich coming from the member opposite, from Tomavacoquack, when they voted against a raise to our hard-working DND employees. You know, I also would like to ask the member, they voted against the increase for a COA last fall when they stood and we had the all-night morning marathon. I'd love to ask him what he was going to say to the 106 projects that were funded in his riding that he voted against. Trust me, we'll be telling him that we have the backs for small businesses in rural New Brunswick and rural Atlantic Canada.
Hey, folks, if you haven't yet, smash the like button. We're 100 away from 1,000.
Voting non-confidence in this government that needs to be replaced. This government has caused the inflationary crisis through reckless spending, and now they're hiking a carbon tax by 23% on gas, heat, and food on April 1st. If they really cared about Canadians, especially those who sacrifice so much in service to our country, they would listen to the well over 70% of Canadians who are demanding them to get off their backs and axe the tax.
Look how rowdy the Conservatives are, man. They actually believe in the cause.
Mr. Speaker, there is so much shouting today that I can forgive the member opposite for not hearing earlier today the good news for Canadians, which is thanks to the hard work of Canadians, and it has been a challenging time. Inflation in February.
Interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn.
And that followed the numbers for January. Inflation back to the Bank of Canada's target range. This is good news for Canadians who have been through a hard time. We support Canada and Canadians. All they want to do is cut, cut, cut.
Bravo. The Honourable Member from Edmonton-Griesbach.
Mr. Speaker, Edmontonians are experiencing a double housing crisis. Rent is increasing at the fastest pace in the country, all while we're seeing the lowest vacancy rates we've had in a decade. The Conservative slogans won't build affordable homes, and the Liberals aren't fixing the problem they've created. The NDP's Protecting Renters Fund would help save affordable homes and give renters the hope they need. Will the Liberals commit to including this fund in the budget so Edmontonians don't go houseless?
The Honourable Minister for Housing, Infrastructures and Community.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for his question and for his advocacy. I had the opportunity to be in Edmonton recently to meet with the Mayor and the Provincial Minister in Alberta, as well as my colleague, the Member for Edmonton Centre. We are working hard to advance additional funding to support community-based organizations that support Canadians who are living without a roof over their head. We also very recently had the opportunity to share an agreement with $175 million behind it that will build thousands of homes in Edmonton, including more rentals, which will help reduce the cost of rent. And
Who hacked the stream? China? India?
Against targeting of journalists, civilians, hospitals, aid workers. And the UN has called out for Canada for complicity in this because we provide weapons to Israel.
Criminal, man.
Parliament called for an end to military aid
the end
to
of what
Netanyahu's
Sean
government.
Fraser was saying, but
and
who
yet
cares,
numerous
really?
military supply deals are still in the works. So will the minister respect Parliament and tell us whether or not deals like the guns from Colt and Kitchener and armed vehicles from Rochelle and Brampton will be sent to Israel? Yes or no?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to begin by saying that yesterday for me
was the day I was very proud to be a parliamentarian. In this House, we came together, 4 to 5 parties, to find a workable solution, to find a Canadian position that Canadians could be comfortable with. We will continue to advocate for a ceasefire. We will continue to not sell arms as we have promised, and continue to make sure that we bring hostages back to where they belong in their homes. We will continue to do that. I invite the Conservatives to be as engaged.
There we go again. There we go. Is it Putin this time? Come on, dude. I got a gigabyte.
Parliamentary Secretary
Internet up and down.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to begin by saying that yesterday for me was the day I was very proud to be
in the Northwest Territories. With the increase of cost of living, accessible daycare is vital. Families in my riding and across the North have been eager to see this plan built out. To the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, what's being done for the Northwest Territories and for Northerners more broadly?
Good. The Honourable Minister for Families.
I met with Jude from the Yellowknife Daycare Centre, Jennifer at Aurora College, and many others who were able to share with me firsthand the impact of our Canada-wide system on making life more affordable. As of April 1st, families in Northwest Territories will see their childcare fees reduced to an average of $10 a day, saving them up to $9,000 each year per child.
Coincidentally, it costs $9,000 per child for the carbon tax.
For the moms and dads in Northwest Territories to put towards the essentials that their families need.
We must be almost done.
The honourable member for Mégontic-l'Érable.
Yeah, French
They're
Conservative.
starving.
You know what, folks? We're going to end it there. We've already gotten through the meat and potatoes. It's just going to be a couple NDP people, a couple Liberal people, and then the Green Party. Everything that needs to have been said has already been said. Let's just end on a high note. The stream keeps glitching, but yeah, there you go again. It just did it again. So nonetheless, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in to the stream. Really appreciate it. Amazing turnout, over 5,000 concurrent viewers at its very peak. Tomorrow is Caucus Leader Day, so if there's any day for you guys to show up, highly recommend it to be tomorrow, Wednesdays. On your way out, if you haven't yet already, I highly recommend you subscribe and turn post notifications on. We are super close to 100,000 subscribers, and then we're going to get a second plaque, and once the second plaque comes in, mount them on the wall, make it look real shiny. It's a big FU to the government. All right, folks, have a good day. Have a good rest of your evening. Try not to spend too much money. I know every breath of fresh air costs a little bit more money these days in Canada with the carbon tax, but yeah, keep your stick on the ice, and see you guys same time tomorrow. Peace and love, everybody. Love you guys too. Bye for now.